Welcome to Civil Rights and Discrimination Policies Training. My name is Hildegard Koenig, Outreach Language Access Civil Rights Coordinator with the Utah Office of Victims of Crime. Today, we will speak some important points to ensure that recipients are compliant with all the applicable federal civil rights laws. Okay, here are some important reminders for subrecipients. Excuse me. First, please remember that this training must be taken annually. So make sure that you submit with your award documents a signed certificate. A very important point to remind you all is to please review the entire presentation. Also, before your agency can be reimbursed for any expenses associated with your grant, the grant analyst must first review and certify compliance with the federal equal employment opportunity policies. Lastly, at the end of the training, there will be a link for a quiz. Please take the quiz. If you receive a score 70 or above, then you will receive a certificate completion from me. Please remember that you must submit the certificate as part of your signed award documents. And don't forget to please save a copy for your grant files. Certificates will be reviewed during monitoring of your grant by the auditor's team. In this slide, we will be able to see UOVC's policy statement. All employees, applicants, and program participants of UOVC's subrecipients, including clients, customers, or consumers, shall be treated equally regardless of race, color, sex, pregnancy, or pregnancy related conditions, age, religion, national origin, or disability. In addition to this, if subrecipients receive any grants under BAWA, it prohibits the discrimination in programs either funded under the statute or administered by the Office of Violence Against Women, both in employment and in delivery of services or benefits. Based on actual or perceived race, color, national origin, sex, religion, disability, sexual orientation, and gender identity. Also, all individuals have the right to participate in programs and activities operated by UOVC subrecipients. Lastly, UOVC requires all subrecipients to be following compliance with this legal source included throughout this training. Very important to remember in regards to policy requirements. So, recipients are required to have a written internal policy on discrimination in the provision of services, discrimination for its employees, and program participants. Make sure that you look at all the policies in place to make sure that it is included um, and they are following the minimum statements as it is. All employees and applicants of UOVC, subrecipients, and clients, customers, program participants, or consumers of subrecipients shall be treated equally regardless of race, color, sex, pregnancy, childbirth, or pregnancy related conditions, age, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, or national origin. Also, if the subrecipient receive any grants under BAWA, it should include protection shall apply to the individuals regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity. In the next three slides, you will be able to see the Office of Civil Rights enforces the following. First, you'll see Title VI Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits the discrimination in federally assisted programs based on race, color, and national origin in the delivery of services or benefits. Then on Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, it prohibits the discrimination based on disability. Then Omnibus Crime Control and Safe Streets Act of 1968 is designated to assist the state and local governments in reducing the incidence of crime and the increase of effectiveness, fairness, and coordination of law enforcement and criminal justice system at all levels of government. Then, last in this slide, Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 forbids any educational program or activity receiving federal financial assistance to discriminate in any way on the basis of sex. Title II of the American with Disabilities Act of 1990, no qualified individual with a disability shall, by reason of such disability, be excluded from participating in or be denied the benefits of the service programs or activities of public entity or be subject to discrimination by any such entity. Age Discrimination Act, which is the Age Act of 1975, it to prohibit discrimination on the basis of age in programs or activities receiving federal financial assistance. Then you have the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Act, which is JJDPA. And remember that because you'll see it throughout the presentation of 1974 establishes the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention to support local and state efforts to prevent delinquency and improve juvenile justice systems. Then, last but not least, VOCA, which is prohibiting the discrimination in programs funded under the statute both in employment and in the delivery of services or benefits based on race, color, national origin, sex, religion, and disability. On this last slide for the Office for Civil Rights Enforcers, it says BAWA, prohibiting discrimination in programs either funded under the statute or administered by the Office of Violence Against Women, both in employment and in the delivery of services or benefits, based on actual and perceived race, color, national origin, sex, religion, disability, sexual orientation, and gender identity. Then Executive Order 13559, prohibiting the discrimination in federally assisted social service programs based on religion in the delivery of services or benefits. Okay, we are going to go over each of those acts in a more detail. So we'll start with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which it prohibits discrimination in federally assisted programs based on race, color, and national origin and in delivery of services or benefits, which includes racial harassment, school segregation, and the denial of services to English learners or limited English proficiency. So it requires recipients of federal financial assistance to take reasonable steps to make their programs, services, and activities accessible by eligible persons with limited English proficiency. Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. It prohibits discrimination based on the disability in programs conducted by federal agencies, in programs receiving federal financial assistance, and in federal employment and in the employment practices of federal contractors. Requirements some common requirements to this regulation includes reasonable accommodation for employees with disability programs, um, accessibility, effective communication with people who have hearing or vision disabilities, and accessible new construction and alteration. Okay, Title IX is a federal law that was passed in 1972 to ensure that male and female students and employees in educational settings are treated equally and fairly. It protects against discrimination based on sex and includes sexual harassment on this. Age Discrimination Act, or the Age Act, like I call it, of 1975, prohibits the discrimination on the basis of age in programs and activities receiving federal financial assistance. The Age Act applies to all ages, so you all are aware. Title II of the American with Disabilities Act of 1990, which is also ADA, excuse me, prohibits the discrimination based on disability by public entities, regardless of whether they receive federal financial assistance. A few examples are providing things such as qualified interpreters on site or through video, remote interpreting, which is BRI services, telephone handsets amplifiers, listening devices, or just accommodations the individual may need. Okay, Section 809C of Title 1 of the Omnibus Crime Control and Safe Streets to assist state and local governments in reducing the incidence of crime to increase the effectiveness, fairness, and coordination of law enforcement. Here are some program statutes um, uh, that Safe Streets Act, BOCA, JJDPA, and BAWA awards, which it talks about non discrimination provision. No more than one of these non discrimination provisions will apply to any particular DOJ war, but yet, in unusual circumstances, we know there are always are unusual circumstances, it is possible that more than one will apply to a specific DOJ award. On this slide, you will be able to see that under Safe Streets Act, it is the policy of the Department of Justice to seek eliminate discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation. Program statutes for VOCA. It states no person shall, on the basis of race, color, national origin, sex, religion, on and disability, be excluded from participating in denied by the benefits of, subject to discrimination under, or denied the employment in connection with any undertaking funded in whole or in part, with sums made available under the Prohibiting Discrimination in program funded under the statute, both in employment and in the delivery of services or benefits. Program statute for BAWA. It prohibits the discrimination on base of actual or perceived race, color, national origin, sex, religion, disability, sexual orientation, and gender identity in programs or activities, both in employment and in the delivery of services or benefits. In any program, the activity funded in whole or in part with funds appropriated by OVW or appropriated pursuant to certain statutes that focus on violence against women. On the next two slides, we will speak on Power Reauthorization Act of 2013, which was enacted on March 7 of 2013, um, improves and expands legal tools and grant programs addressing domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and the stalking. Also, it gave tribes the authority to enforce domestic violence laws and related crimes against non Indian individuals. This act states that no person in United States shall, on the basis of actual or perceived race, color, religion, national origin, sex or gender identity, sexual orientation, or disability be excluded from participating in, be denied the benefits or be subject to discrimination under any program or activity funded in whole or in part with funds made by available under BAWA, and any other program or activity funded in whole or in part with funds appropriated for grants, cooperative agreements, and other assistance administered by the Office of Violence Against Women. Um, if sex segregation or sex specific programming is necessary to the essential operation of the program in such a circumstances, grantees may meet the requirements of this paragraph by providing comparable services to individuals who cannot be provided with the sex segregated or sex specific programming necessary to the essential operation of the program considered. So here are some: nature of the service, consequences to the beneficiaries or having sex segregated or sex specific impact um, on transgender clients. Also, comparable services, nature, quality, and duration of the service, related benefits of different therapeutic modalities, geographic location. On this slide covers faith-based organizations. Faith-based organizations must not use federal funding to advance explicitly religious activities. Faith-based organizations may not discriminate against beneficiaries based on religion or religious beliefs. Also, December 2020 updates one of the main change mandates the agencies that treat both faith-based and secular organizations equally when reviewing grant applications. In the next two slides are some DOJ regulations issued for faith-based organizations guidance, which you'll see also FBO as the acronym. The new notice and referral requirements for base-based organization, as may not require beneficiaries to participate in any religious activity. If you are a base organization, make sure that you pay attention to this slide and the last one to ensure that you're following all the guidelines. The Utah Labor Commission enforces the Utah Anti Discrimination Act of 1965, which prohibits employment discrimination on the basis of race, color, national origin, gender, religion, age, and disability. Also, it prohibits the employment discrimination basis on pregnancy, childbirth, or pregnancy related conditions. Okay, subrecipients must have procedures in place in accepting and processing discrimination complaints that maybe your employees or applicants or clients or customers file directly with the subrecipient. Which may involve investigations and complaint internally or referring them to the complaint to appropriate external agencies for investigation, such as our office at UOVC. The next three slides will talk about UOBC procedures when responding to claims of discrimination. First, have the complainant contact me either by phone, in writing, or email. This is my contact information. You can see in this slide. If the individual has a disability and is unable to file unable to file, we will ensure that alternative methods will be available for that individual to file their complaint. Second step, this information will be is very important and is needed. The name, address, cell phone or work phone, telephone, the best way to contact them, date of birth, a brief description of the alleged discrimination or the civil rights violation. Also include the date, place, and time, names of any respondents accused of the discrimination if they know. Also, a brief, and this is one of the most important part, the description of the communication that had already occurred to address the issue and any other relevant information. Um, Step three, I will contact the individual within 10 days of the business day. So, no, Saturday, Sunday. So, I apologize on that. After the receipt of the complaint. Last step, I will mail a letter where appropriate. It's going to be in a format depending on what they need. If it's large print, braille, or audio tape, indicating of the actions taken, forwarding to the complaint to the Utah Anti Discrimination and Labor Division, a notification to the Office for Civil Rights, too. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about Equal Employment Opportunity Plan. Every subrecipient of UOVC grant must comply with the EOP procedures. So the Equal Employment Opportunity Plan. That's accurate. So EEOP is a workforce report that some must be completed as condition of the grant award. All all recipients must complete the certification form. Um, All EOP plans and certifications are to be submitted electronically and preferably through the EOP reporting tool. And the link shows in the slide in here. You should be able to click it and we'll take you there. If there's any issues, please let me know. This is a tablet for the Equal Employment Opportunity Plan. You can review it and see if you have to develop an EOP plan or not. So it just kind of guides you in there in this form, in this, excuse me, in this tablet or yeah, what it shows in here. Documents to file. You must have file on the EOP when you're doing it. You're completing it. If required, certification form section A needs to be completed or section B completed. So when you go into that link that it shows in here, ensure that you complete it depending on where you follow on that tablet previously slide. You can access the certification form at the link that shows in this slide. Once again, documents must be submitted electronically. Okay, here is my contact information on the slide. Do not hesitate to reach out to me with any questions, any comments. Maybe something is confusing. Please do not hesitate. So, as I stated at the start of this presentation, to obtain your certificate completion, please complete the quiz using the link on the slide. After completing the quiz, if you score above 70, you will receive a certification completion from me. If not, please take the quiz again. We want to make sure everyone gets their certificate completion. Just you must keep a reminder. Excuse me. You must keep and save a copy of the certificate you will receive to submit as part of your signed award documents. Certificates will be reviewed during the monitoring of your grant. If you have any problems, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Once again, my contact information is in the bottom of this slide. With this, I want to thank you for your time. And I'll leave you with one of my favorite quotes from Martin Luther King Jr. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Thank you for your time. And once again, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Have a wonderful day.